team, how are you? Welcome to day 189 of Lyndall's Luscious Limberings. A little bit bizarre that there could potentially be only 11 sessions left before we reach 200 and also conclude the series. I say potentially because of course, anything could happen and if we go back into lockdown or the show shut down for longer, I'm going to keep on going. So, everything's open. How exciting. In the meantime, stretchy day today. I'm going to tell you I hurt a lot. I did 90 minutes of training yesterday with a fantastic physio for what I'm going to call Quidditch preseason training. And so we're going to indulge my pain today, which is a lot of stretching in the legs. All right, so if you're going to join me with today's playlist for 189, 3, 2, 1, go. Lie down. Oh, it's not even the worst of it yet. Okay, good. Starting in semi-supine. God, what a lovely blue sky. Hopefully you have your limbering support cat next to you as well. From here, we're just going to tilt the pelvis forwards and back. Just a really small amount. So I'm not trying to really work the muscles here. I actually just want to mobilize. So it's only really a couple of centimeters that you're rocking the pelvis forward and back. Make sure the neck is nice and lengthened on the floor. Try not to engage other muscles, so don't engage the jaw or the back of the neck, through the diaphragm, the flexors, the thighs. And let the shoulder blades feel like they're sinking really deeply into the floor. Beautiful. And rocking the other side. So if we're thinking about a clock face, before we were rocking between 12 and 6, now we're going between 3 and 9. So the two sides of the pelvis just only like even half a centimeter rocking from side to side. Try and soften over the diaphragm so you can just imagine this area is expanding up to touch the ceiling. Go back and soften that jaw. Soften over the top of the lip, the maxilla. Well, I mean, technically the maxilla is the bone, you can't soften that, but soften the muscles over it. That's for Law. Law likes having an anatomy session. That's for you, Law. Alright, good. And just now is making the pelvis like a spinning plate again. Only a few centimeters worth of movement, but we just want it to be nice and smooth. For anyone who's old enough to remember the Toyota ad way back in like the 80s or 90s with a puppet as smooth as a baby's bottom. No one else ever seems to remember that ad. I promise you I didn't make it up. Alright, let's circle the other way. Beautiful. Alright, now let that back relax into the floor. Gently just squeezing that imaginary balloon between the small of the back and the ground. We're just going to walk the feet out. And when you start to feel that back want to lift off the floor, stop there and come back up again. Just keep on going through that. And hopefully each time as you go down, the back will start to release and you can go a little further. But you don't want to force the back into the ground through engaging through the muscles. I mean, if I really crank that pelvis up and pull through the abs, I can definitely keep the small of the back on the ground for longer, but I want instead a passive relaxation. If you've been sitting down a lot, this will be really good. Or standing. If you've been sitting or standing. Keep going. And as the legs start to lengthen out, you'll probably also start to feel other tensions develop in the body, associated with trying to release down through the small of the back. Be conscious of things like tension over the sternum, and maybe you're starting to engage other places like the tops of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades. Alright, good. Lengthening out now. We're going to gently bring those knees in. You can bring your hands down just near your butt. And back out again. Again, the whole way, even before you start lifting the legs, burst that imaginary balloon between the small of the back and the ground, and then gently raise the legs up and back down. Use the breath as well. And then just send your awareness around the rest of the body. Just have a regard for the other muscles who think they're helping by engaging. Have a little chat to them and say thank you, but no. Good work, but stand down. It's important not to get angry at your body. You know, think of it as like a really helpful Labrador. Everything's about dogs. Sort of like, wow, like, that's really good that you're so keen. Thank you so much. And now, we're gonna enter a world where we don't need that. But frustration will just add a little bit more to the tension. So just say thanks. Thanks, but no. We've now reached the point where Lyndall's just talking off the back of her brain. All right, good. And knees in, and really subtle circles. And yeah, you can connect with the feeling of this, giving yourself a massage on the floor with the small of the back. Keep going around the body through all of this and just relaxing. So things like the butt cheeks, the abdominal muscles, the lower abdominal muscles in particular, and the obliques across the side. And go the other way. It's really useful if you're someone, well, anyone, I was going to say someone who's a practitioner in movement, but anyone, to get a grip on some anatomy. You don't need to remember the names. I never did. I'm not saying that made me a good medical practitioner at all. I'm just saying that I didn't use that brain space for the names of the muscles. However, it's all a function of levers. If you look at where goes where, and levers and joints, and if you think, well, that connects there, so if that contracts, that's going to move this joint. But it's nice to get an idea of, well, if I'm feeling tight, what other muscles are there around? What do they connect to? That I can start to relax. Good. From here, just allow the hands to loop around the knees, and just don't do anything. Just relax the elbows down towards the floor. So don't pull, but just let them be heavy, and broaden out across the small of the back. And from here, I'm just going to circle through the ankles. And then reverse the direction. Good. Then just lengthen out one leg. And we're just going to circle around this one knee. And then change direction, going the other way. Now lengthen up, don't put any tension under this now. We're just going, if you want, you can support the leg. I just want you to circle through the ankle on that one leg. And see if you can connect that feeling all the way down to the small of the back, so you feel like actually it's the small of the back that's letting the ankles circle around, and change direction. Good, bend the leg, and again, just let the elbows be heavy. Lengthen the other leg out away and send the other opposite hip into the ground. And then if you feel like you can just put a little bit more tension through and squeeze in, but if you're not feeling like it, just allow the weight of the elbows to do the work for you. Good. Good. Just come up and we're just going to move that knee from side to side so we're wiggling through the hip. Good. Let's just chain to the leg. And nice gentle circles. And the other way. Nice. Bring that leg up and just circle through the ankle. Keep the small of the back relaxed into the ground. Go back and check in on the jaw. See if you've tightened it. Soften the hip flexors down as if you could almost let these muscles here relax down through the pelvis. Just change direction. Through the pelvis and deep into the floor. Your ribs as well. Your ribs are like spreading and sinking into the floor. Both the top ribs and the bottom ribs. By top, sorry, I actually mean like top surface. So anterior. Or if you're an animal, or for a quadruped, your ventral surface. And down. Good, bringing both knees back in again, a little bit of a squeeze. So you can squeeze that stretch through a little bit more now. Spreading out through the small of the back. Now pull the toes back towards the shin and lengthen both towards the ceiling, and let's do a double nerve stretch all the way down the back of the leg. The heels extending up towards the ceiling and the toes trying to touch the knees if they could. Keep going. It's always dynamic. Good, just soften it down and give it a bit of a wiggle. And again, both toes back, stretch those heels up. Try and put the heels in the ceiling and your toes on the floor. And now soften that a bit and we'll do our pigeon feet, pigeon toes and duck feet. Remember, this movement's coming from the hips, so it's not about the ankles. The relationship between the top of the foot and the shin is staying the same. I'm just rotating through the hips. And down again, let's just circle through. And the other way. Yes, we're staying on the ground for a while today. I told you I'm going to impose on you. Alright, one leg down, other on top, and let's open up through those hips. To be fair, we've done some quite vigorous training this week. So particularly if you're doing this still in a group for 5 days, you might like to have quite a restful day. Reach through and sink into that stretch. Hips like a happy Labrador. See, everything does come back to dogs. Good. Lengthen the lower leg out. Bring the top leg across to the center of your midline and just gently pull the ankle up towards opposite wall. And now keeping the knee high, just going to take it out to the side, rest this elbow on the floor, and just go as far, so take the knee as high as you can, as in towards your head, and then just go as far sideways as you can before you start to feel a stretch. Make sure the opposite hip's sinking down towards the ground still. Good, use the hand to push it back in again. And now change hands and let it drop over the side. And just relax through this, don't force it towards the floor. If you want, you can look down the opposite arm, keep both shoulders on the ground. Really see, imagine if you breathe into this open side, this leg, up the ribs. Unclench the butt cheeks. Good, use the breath, outward breath in the hand to help come up. And I'm just going to change legs over. So working through the hip. Lovely, you're reaching through the legs and grabbing hold of either the shin or the thighs and just stretching. Lovely, just let down that bottom leg and bring the leg across the center line, the knees right in front of your sternum, and pull the ankle up towards the ceiling, up towards the wall. Keep breathing through that, don't hold your breath. No. Lovely, alright. And take it out to the side. Good, use the breath in the hand to come up and then hand it across to the other hand. And if you can reach your cat, give it a gentle pat as you're relaxing the knee down towards the ground. Good, and bring that knee in, back to a circle. So you can get a bit more of a range, and if you want, you can let the sacrum actually come off the floor here now, as you're circling around, just to stretch out through the back of the sacrum and the tops of the butt cheeks go around the other way. Good, almost done with the floor. Just going to go into a single leg nerve stretch now. So you can crank it a bit more, make sure that this hip's going down to the floor. And now link behind, just soften the tension across the toes and gently encourage that knee to go towards the opposite wall. Breathe through that, allow. So even though you're putting slight tension on it, you're really just breathing into the muscles and relaxing and letting them do the work rather than trying to crank them into a stretch. Good, bend that knee, shake it out. Change the legs over, single leg nerve stretch. And link the hand behind. Oh, yeah, that's good. Good, check it out. And now both knees together, just let them fall over to the left hand side. And deep breath in. Use the breath out to change sides. If you've got room in your head for it, you can let the head drop side to side as well. Just use that outward breath the whole time. So as soon as you get there, relax, let the spring of the belly release. Breathe in. And then as you breathe out, it's like the air's coming out of the knees. Relax, recoil, and then breathe out. So rather than feeling like the breath is a forceful breath in, all it is you just engaging, breathing through, and as soon as you get to the end, you just relax and the muscles spring back
The air springs into the abdomen and you swap sides. Let the sternum sink the whole way through this. As you breathe in, the air's not coming into the thorax, it's coming into the lower belly. Just broke it. Alright, good. Back to the center. And let's go across to the side. And we're going to do the open arm version of this exercise. Move back in. Breathe either in or out with each movement. So at the moment I'm breathing in as I'm going out and breathing out as I come back. But you can do the reverse if you like, whatever you feel like today. But make sure you're breathing. When you breathe, you're breathing deep into the belly. So if you like, imagine you're actually breathing through a hole in the small of your back, rather than trying to suck it in to the thorax. Good stuff. Change sides. And again, use the breath. The hand doesn't have to touch the ground when you go to the side. You do whatever's going to just feel like you're mobilizing. Again, if you're feeling tense, go to that just above your outer limit. And you'll find naturally each time you go, the body will just start to go a little further without you even really trying or thinking about it. Bodies are very clever if we let them be. It's when we stop talking to them that we have problems. So sometimes instead of giving the body a bit of a rein, saying, all right, you can do this. Lovely, alright. Coming up into all fours, I'm just going to level off and wiggle out. So lengthen from the tip of the head, the back of the head, back in the top, all the way. There's a laser beam going at the top of the head and it's coming out through the coccyx. And you're lengthening through those 2 points. So as you're wriggling the butt, the spine's getting longer and longer and longer. Alright, into some cat-cows, reaching up through the bones and down again. Just go in your own rhythm. Again, match one in-breath and one out-breath to each movement. And dealer's choice as to which way you want to do that. But don't engage the muscles against the movement to try and get feedback that you're moving. In fact, you want to feel like you're not even moving. You're like, I feel like I'm not putting any effort. So move with the bones, let the muscles just do their own thing. Good, back to center, wiggle. And dropping down into a child's pose. And creep at the fingers as far as they want to go, gently dig them in. If you also play around with, if you just dig in the little fingers, you'll find you get a little bit of an engagement through the outside of the arms, and it might even go translate through to the shoulder blades. If you make it on the inside, so the index finger, it'll probably travel down the inside of the arm and might go through to the pectoral muscles. So you can play with either just engaging all the fingers equally, or if you feel like you've got that little mystery area of tension underneath the armpit here, if you push down with the little finger, that can help to stretch in there. little finger and even the outside blade of the hand. And let the shoulder blades feel like they're sliding down sideways towards the floor. Lovely. Just relax that for a second. Creep the fingers over to the left hand side and keep on stretching. And think about sending, so if you're stretching to your left, that right butt bone, think about sending it away. If you're stretching to the left, think about the right. Sorry, if you're stretching to the right, think about the left. It's the opposite one. So that butt bone goes down and away. Good, and let's go across the other side. And while you're here, send that opposite butt bone down and away. Beautiful, back in. And we're going to come back up and wiggle through again. And just some gentle circles around to the left. So your spine is a skipping rope. Let the muscles be super soft here. Go as slow as you like. This is about just mobilizing and softening. So don't strain against the movement to get feedback. Just mobilize the spine. Let everything else organize itself. Let the top of the head really relax down towards the floor. And change direction. Lovely. And then one final arch up. And then just tilt back until you get a stretch. Relax the head. Send that spine behind you. It's behind you. And up and just wiggle while you're still staying up. And down. Good. I'm going to come into our butts. And with the legs in crossed. Just going to reach forward. Stretching out, so you should hopefully feel a stretch through the small of the back and potentially over the butt cheeks. And just creep those fingers out. You might even get engagement then through the back. Relax the neck. Same principle here, depending on which finger you engage, you can get a slightly different stretch through the arms and the upper torso. Good, coming up. Cross legs isn't good for you, by the way, if you do a standard child's pose. Change the legs and back again. Beautiful, coming back up, use the hands to help. And take the legs into a big diamond. And just start gently digging yourself into the floor. Chest going upwards and forwards. Lengthening still through the top of the head here. So relax that neck, don't crank the head up. I know it's hard if you're trying to look at the TV screen, but and then take out the wiggles and just do a sustained push. Breathe through that. Good, use the outward breath to come up. And we're going to go into tucking the right leg under, left leg over the top, right arm over the top, sit up tall behind. You can use this arm to push through that leg if you want a bit more engagement. And
changing. Good, now we're going to come back to the feet in. We're going to pull the feet into the pelvic bone and butterfly flutters. Make sure you're lifting up to the back of the spine. And go back to the feeling that you're breathing through that hole in the small of your back. And again, naturally you should find that as the legs are fluttering more and more, they should increase their range by themselves without you really having to do much. Just think about breathing. That's your job. Just breathe. Okay, good. Now we're going to make it static. So I'm going to lean forward a little bit to get a bit more engagement. And then if you're feeling like it, you can just place the hands gently on the knees. And just again, don't really push, but just think about the elbows getting heavy towards the floor. Try not to let that, I know it will make you sort of feel a little bit hunched, but try and still get the feeling of the direction of the chest going upwards and forwards rather than collapsing through the spine. Good, use the breath and the hands to have it come back into crossed legs, reaching up. Keep both butt cheeks on the floor and try and touch the wall. You can get it. I bet you can. Use the hands to push, this hand to reach, and the outward breath to come up. Oh yeah, so good. Touch the wall. You can get it. Breathe out. Alright, and we're just going to then gently reach and think about, I'm not going over, and alternately trying to touch the wall with each hand. That's the end of the playlist for me. Keep going. Keep going. Touch. And then we're going to take it for a bit of a sweep. Just only go the depth of movement that you feel comfortable with. And I'm reaching out with the hands. And then if you want, you can change this to be a bit of a backward movement. So I'm going to go around and then we'll stretch out through the ribs, just going a little bit past. So rather than reaching out sideways, instead of going out in the diagonal a little bit. Good stuff. Alright, just bring yourself round into all fours. And into a crouch and just hang over in the crouch. Let the tailbone sink towards the ground and the head sink towards the ground. Now lift the butt towards the ceiling. Just keep the legs bent for a sec. And then just gently straighten and then bend the legs. So you're only straightening until you find a stretch. And each time you find that stretch, just hang there a little longer each time and breathe. And now we're going to just hold a sustained stretch. If you want, you can put the hands behind. Head nice and heavy. Lift the butt bones towards the ceiling. Put the backs of the thighs on the wall behind you. And bend the knees. Now look forward and lengthen. Breathing in. And down. A few of these in a row.
bend the knees and just slowly bring the head up.
Just re-establish the blood pressure. Just take the leg out wide, sink down to the heels and stretching through the inner thighs and small of the back, using the elbows to separate that out. Keep breathing through that imaginary hole in the small of the back. Good stuff. Rock forwards so the weight's on the ball of the feet, hands on the floor, and come up. Hanging over and just popping out one hip then the other. Totally going to finish soon. You might wonder why I don't have, for those of you on my playlist, why I don't have a longer playlist to like fill up all of the actions, and the reason is that if I did that, then I would just keep on going beyond that. So, and then swinging out. Good, bend the knees rolling up through the spine. And just roll through the shoulders. Almost done. Just going to go to the side of the mat. Rolling the head down again. Walking out into a down dog. If you want to get the alignment, do that first. And then just a sustained stretch here. But it's still dynamic even in the sustained movement, so we're just going to lift the butt towards the ceiling, relax the shoulders, relax the head, put the backs of the thighs on the wall behind you. And just bend those knees and rolling up. Roll up the shoulders. Good, and to finish off, just some gentle rotations working through the ball of the feet. Arms super floppy, so the only reason why the arms are moving is because the torso is moving. And now keep the head and hips facing forward, so it's just the shoulders that are moving. Slight knee bend just to protect those knees. Arms floppy, turn them off. Good, and final thing, just kicks. Lovely. Great. So, for those of you who are on the days with me, it's going to be now a couple of days break before we come back for day 190. So that will be on Monday. Hence the break in the middle. But again, like, please feel free to do your own stuff or go back to a previous day, knowing that of course then on Monday the first thing's going to do is core work. Yes, mixing it up. Okay, in the meantime, have a great weekend. Thank you again for your company, and hey, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Bye.